to make some different decisions. Looks like he's making the left onto the incline, and that's going to put him on PCH. So now we've got our eyes and ears on the California Highway Patrol as we continue to watch this dangerous driver, a stolen Subaru out of Santa Monica, a Subaru dealership in Santa Monica, stolen earlier this to make some different decisions. Looks like to make some extremely dangerously. Once again, we are now in Culver City as he traverses the streets of Culver City. Oh boy, he's booking. Oh man. Yeah, they just canceled it. That's him. Yep. Will he let us in there? Cool. That's a good thing, actually. Actually, turns out to be a good thing. Through the red. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wild right, northbound. Welcome, everybody. If you're joining us live on abc7.com and our ABC7 app, we are tracking a pursuit suspect in South Los Angeles, a pursuit that started in Inglewood, ended up in the hands of LAPD up Lincoln onto the 90 freeway, out towards the Expo Park area, eventually making a full loop through South LA, now just north of Slauson, as LAPD has abandoned the pursuit. They have canceled this pursuit. We're keeping an eye on the stolen SUV as he continues to drive like a maniac through South LA without any regard for traffic lights, stop signs, or anybody's safety. We've already seen a couple of very, very close calls. We're seeing very dangerous driving, to say the least, without hesitation of jumping into oncoming lanes of traffic, still speeding down Angeles Vista Boulevard at this moment as we continue to navigate the skies near LAX. LAX is about where this pursuit started, again by Inglewood PD, eventually LAPD taking it over, now heading back in that westbound direction towards towards the coast here. So we're still in the heart of South LA, just passing Harcross Drive and still going well above the speed limit. You can see, according to our real-time speed tracker, easily just a moment ago, upwards of 60 miles per hour on a 45 mile per hour street. So making another northbound turn here, looking at Slauson, just passing through Slauson and continuing, I believe, actually he's on Slauson. So was that yeah, that was going to be a westbound turn onto Slauson, coming up on Mansfield again, jumping over those double yellow lines, coming up to La Brea, and he's got the red light going right through the red light, looking out for cross traffic. He slowed down there. At times he just blows through these busy intersections, but he slowed down for that one. Traffic relatively light, but we have, again, I have seen a couple of close calls, not only vehicles, but also pedestrians in the crosswalks that he has really come very close to here. So we're continuing to follow this pursuit suspect, a stolen vehicle initiated in Inglewood. Unclear whether there's anybody else inside the vehicle. What we can tell you is that the LAPD has deemed this pursuit just too dangerous, and they have canceled the pursuit. So what we don't see here is any sign of law enforcement, not even an airship. If I'm not mistaken, even the airship has pulled off here, making a right turn, going northbound, transitioning onto the freeway. Copy that. It sounds good. I'm ready. Can you get the model there, Rob? Yeah, Subaru, yep. Thank you. Any sign of the PD ship, or did the PD ship pull off completely? PD pulled off completely, right? The PD ship? Thank you. David and Colleen, some heart-stopping moments as LAPD has now abandoned this pursuit, but we're on it. You can see that newer model stolen Subaru now entering the Culver City jurisdiction. This all started in Englewood. They started near LAX, handed it off to LAPD once he got near Marina Del Rey. They took it over, LAPD Southeast Division, taking it over for a short time, following him both on the ground and from their airship up above. Made his way all the way across town through South LA towards the Coliseum, ended up on the 110 freeway, and has done a giant loop through South LA, ending up back on Slauson. That's about where they gave up on this pursuit. It just got too dangerous. He has been continuing this erratic driving, speeding right through red lights, coming very close with pedestrians and crosswalks, other cross traffic, not stopping for any of these lights, and driving extremely erratically and not hesitating to get into the oncoming lanes of traffic, driving extremely dangerously. Once again, we are now in Culver City as he traverses the streets of Culver City. Still no sign of law enforcement here. It's a situation we're going to continue to follow, and it looks like it may be this is our first really good close-up shot of the driver. Looks like a male driver behind the wheel. Unclear whether there's anybody else inside that vehicle, but again, a stolen newer model Subaru as he continues to drive very recklessly, and for that reason we're going to stay on top of this and keep monitoring his movements and see if law enforcement decides to re-engage this wild and dangerous pursuit driver who is really driving out of control, guys. Look at that, right through, yeah, just unbelievable. Yeah, especially when he gets into oncoming lanes of traffic. He's been doing that occasionally at very high speeds. You can see other bikers and pedestrians on the streets of Culver City here as he just kind of weaves his way through. Really tells me he has no clear destination in mind, kind of driving aimlessly and enjoying this joyride until probably until he runs out of gas. But at this point, that dangerous driving that we are witnessing is just continuing, despite the fact that there is nobody chasing him at this moment. There is no sign of law enforcement, and there is no sign of even a police helicopter at this point, so they're not even tracking him. They're probably just watching KDOC right now and keeping an eye on him in a cursory way, but at this point, they appear to have abandoned this pursuit. Yeah, and at this point, I would venture to say it's probably going to be up to, you know, if he amps this up, and by that I mean whether if he continues really dangerous driving and drives right past somebody, they may decide to re-engage, or if he gets into an accident with somebody, then that may, again, amplify the situation and take it to the next level here. But they've made a calculated decision. They've weighed the risks involved and the charges involved here, and they've just decided that it was too dangerous for their liking. We're talking about a couple of jurisdictions, by the way. It was originally in Englewood's jurisdiction, LAPD taking it over, giving it a really good effort, and we watched as LAPD really had a hard time keeping up with him, but they did a great job, despite the fact that he was going into oncoming lanes of traffic and driving so recklessly and so fast down surface streets. They kept up with him for quite a while until the watch commander just made the call to cancel the pursuit. It just wasn't worth it, and now we've been watching it for the better part of 10 minutes now as he just drives on his own, now underneath the 405 freeway, westbound on Venice Boulevard, continuing through Culver City here, now getting into the Venice area towards Mar Vista, and he is slowing down slightly, I would say. He's driving a little bit more composed. You can see shifting lanes still, but not nearly the dangerous driving that we were seeing just a couple of minutes ago. maybe he could tell that the pressure is off for now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When they think the pressure's off, they continue to drive so recklessly that, well, maybe they're thinking they are in the clear right now, because we haven't really seen this driver abide by the rules of the road.
This is the first time. This is the first time he's actually stopped with traffic. He's taken every opportunity to weave around, skirt through narrow gaps, and just do whatever he can to just blow past the rest of traffic and do whatever he can to evade police. Of course, now he's just on his own here, you know, just kind of driving along, and maybe wondering what's for dinner. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So this is that was a good look at a dark gray Subaru Forester. It has paper plates. It's believed to be stolen. We think that this pursuit started in Inglewood by Inglewood police, and then it went into LAPD territory in South LA. So that's all we know at this point. From what we could see inside the vehicle, we saw the driver, of course. We haven't been able to see anybody else. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's nobody else in the vehicle. We don't know a whole lot about this vehicle either. I don't recall a pursuit involving a Subaru before, but there's a first for everything. And we do believe that this is a new vehicle that somehow was stolen. Trying to get the latest on that, as this person is going down Venice Boulevard right now, a very busy street at that. And it almost seems like, Chris, that he does occasionally toy with the idea that maybe he should settle down and then try to fade in with everybody else, and then he'll take off.
Yeah, you know, I think his blood pressure's catching up to him. You know, the adrenaline rush is kind of slowing down a little bit, and he just seems to be driving much more composed than when we first caught up with him as he continues westbound on Venice Boulevard. This is going to put him in the same general vicinity where he's already been. Not quite where it started, which was much closer towards LAX. We're now heading in towards the Marina Del Rey area, where he's already driven past one. So we're covering some of the same real estate here, which again tells me he's just kind of driving around. He does appear to be somewhat familiar with the South LA area, and now, again, as he makes his way towards the coast here, doing about the speed limit, maybe a little bit faster here. Yeah, about 10 over here, about 45, 50 miles per hour. And stopping with some of these stoplights, which is really the first time that we've seen that. He really has shown a willingness to just blow through everybody in his way, both vehicles and pedestrians. And you still see he does appear very aggressive, a little agitated for sure. He's not staying in one lane, probably contemplating what his next move is, or maybe just where he's going to drop this vehicle off. Very likely, I would say, at some point here in the not too distant future, it is a good bet, just based on experience, that he will find a nice hiding spot, pull over, and hopefully just give this up and probably go for a run. But it's anybody's guess, and again, there's always the possibility LAPD decides maybe it is worth trying to get this guy in custody. We just don't know.
If he chose to do that, though, more than likely with nobody tailing him, he might have that ability to get away, since nobody is super close, depending on where he decides to dump this vehicle. And if it's in, let's say, one of those covered parking lots that it's hard to keep up with, he might be able to do it. But he does seem kind of bent on continuing to drive, and drive recklessly at that on occasion, although it's good to see him kind of slow down every now and then. But I imagine that's part of his contemplation on what to do at this point. Does he continue to drive all the way to his home? Or if he's being tailed to some degree, he's going to lead police right to him. So his other decision would be to drop the car off, try to get out without, you know, being detected, perhaps undercover.
Yeah, it's true. Interestingly enough, he made that right turn onto Lincoln Boulevard, which is, again, an intersection that we've already been at before, much earlier in the pursuit, but he's actually going away from where it started. So it started in Inglewood. He's driving now northbound on Lincoln, away from Inglewood. He had the opportunity to make a left, and that would have told me, well, maybe he's going to get right back into the neighborhood where this all started, perhaps an area where he might be more familiar. Again, it's all a guess on our part, an educated guess to say the least, but you can see these skateboarders through the intersection here. He didn't really stop for them, just continued right through that red light and continuing northbound now on Lincoln as he makes his way through Venice. He is now on the edge of Venice, heading towards Rose. I don't think we've passed Rose yet. I think Rose is coming up. So we'll see. Again, he does appear to be driving slower and a little bit more composed.
Yeah, but as you know this area very well, Chris, this is an area that's very, a lot of foot traffic in this area, as we saw those two skateboarders, but pretty soon as the driver makes their way a little deeper into Venice, they're going to see a lot of pedestrians.
Looking right around. He's got the red light going around, going over the double yellow lines, going through that intersection without any regard for the rules of the road here, and now continuing back in the westbound direction, making that leftbound turn at the Whole Foods on Rose, and now heading towards the beach.
Yeah, and going in quick fashion as well. And I am amazed that, again, because of a lot of people staying home and working remotely, the roads are not that full of traffic. But this is still a very populated area, and a lot of people need to be certainly aware that this driver is in their area. I am somewhat surprised that we don't see any police even just kind of parked along any of these arteries.
There's
here.
a decent shot. We look inside the vehicle. It doesn't look like anybody's sitting next to him, at least, although it is still hard to see. I only see one person in that vehicle right now, and of course the back seat you just can't tell until after this pursuit is over. I don't see anybody in the passenger seat, though.
Yeah, that's our first really clear shot of that passenger seat, and you could tell that he does appear to be alone in the vehicle. Unclear if there's anybody in the back seat, but he is definitely alone in the front there. And what's interesting to me is not only did they give it up on the ground, they made the decision to pull off the helicopter as well. So they're not even tracking him. They're not even keeping an eye on him. They just called it quits. They decided, you know what, this guy is not worth it. We're just going to let him go. They don't even want to put the resources into it. Again, unless he causes more trouble down the road. Right now, he's getting ever closer towards the beach here. So he's at Rose and 4th, about 4 blocks away from the beach.
Wow. Well, and still trying to weave in and out of traffic and try to find, out exactly where they're going. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe they will find one of those structured parking garages.
Interestingly enough, I'm getting word from our assignment desk, this vehicle was stolen this morning from a Subaru dealership in Santa Monica. And so that's enlightening. Apparently stolen this morning. If it started in Englewood, that tells me that that vehicle likely has some anti-theft equipment that has basically given law enforcement that tip-off, whether it was a ground unit that caught him in Englewood or some other way, whether somebody called it in. They managed to catch up with him, so who knows how long he's been out on the road today driving this stolen vehicle. But again, this appears to have started in Santa Monica this morning with a grand theft auto at the Subaru dealership, and now heading back in the direction of Santa Monica. So that could tell us something, or it could tell us nothing. In any event, he does appear to be slowing down a little bit as he makes his way northbound on 4th.
Yeah, taken from this area, that explains why it's a shiny, brand spanking new looking vehicle with paper plates, because it is a brand new vehicle with paper plates, taken off the lot just this morning. It'll be interesting to see how they tracked it down, but probably you're right, Chris, perhaps some anti-theft device led them right to the vehicle. The person inside the vehicle, we don't know a whole lot about, obviously, and so we have to be very careful, if law enforcement is, about how they handle it. Although they've backed off completely, it will be interesting to see if they do see him bail out or stop somewhere. He's still behind that tree.
Yeah. It's always interesting, though. This is the contemplation.
Did he get out? Bear with us for 1 second.
I'm almost positive he's still behind that tree.
That's what I thought.
And so he may have pulled over here. We'll see. We'll come around this tree.
There he is.
So he came to a long pause there, clearly contemplating what his next move is. That's about the longest he's stood still in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So he is slowing down, perhaps looking for a place to park it, or maybe he does know somebody in the area. Just unclear.
It'll be interesting to see. If we get a shot of him walking away, that would be beneficial too for law enforcement. But let's see what he does here, as he's clearly meandering through the neighborhood, thinking about what to do, and perhaps thinking that this might be the place and the time to stop the shenanigans and then try to get out of here, especially if nobody's in pursuit of him right now. He definitely would be able to get away for now.
And as he gets into Santa Monica's jurisdiction, Santa Monica PD may take a very different tact than the LAPD. especially if they're watching television and are aware of what we are seeing. I can't confirm that, but it's a good possibility as he now makes his way into the city of Santa Monica. They have a grand theft auto suspect on their streets, and again, once you cross jurisdictions, the tactics can change drastically, especially in a situation where they know very likely are aware of the driving that we've already seen and the danger that he poses to the public. As we get into a Friday evening here and he comes up on downtown Santa Monica, I would expect to see a lot more pedestrian traffic, and we'll see how he interacts with that. Vehicle traffic is moderate at this point. You can see some stop and go traffic as he comes up on some of these intersections. Kind of an average, I would say an average Friday night here in this part of town. It's a residential neighborhood at this point, but as he continues northbound on 4th, he's going to be faced with some decision making.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Here's Pico.
Yeah, and here's the traffic. Now it's sort of one of those playing chicken situations where, and these drivers are like, what the heck is going on with this? Because if you don't see any police cars, you can't figure out why someone is driving so aggressively next to you.
And through that red light, yeah, through a very busy intersection, through that red light, and picking up a little bit of speed, going back over the double yellow lines, back into oncoming traffic. So clearly still driving extremely aggressive, and like I said, still a clear and present danger to the folks here in Santa Monica.
And if police aren't in pursuit of him and he continues to drive erratically, well, there's a police car right there that just went by. I don't know if he spotted him or if he's looking for him, but that just took that turn going the opposite direction. But driving like that is only going to get more attention if you think you possibly got away, and then you're running red lights again. So it could be a difficult thing for him, a tactic for him to continue on with that tactic. If he's not being pursued, why is he acting so erratically?
Yeah, sometimes it's that cat and mouse game that they're actually looking for. I notice as we come around the driver's side, looks like he's rolled down that driver's side window, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he sure has. And I got to tell you, there's a few of us up here, so it's very likely that he hears a fleet of helicopters overhead. That may not be lost on him. He may be oblivious to it, or he may be well aware of our presence up here. But now we are in downtown Santa Monica, 4th and Broadway, coming up on the mall, and you can see a lot more pedestrian traffic as we get into the 7 o'clock hour here. You can see, again, another red light there, caught that yellow, and still driving extremely erratically right up 4th Street.
Wow. Well, here's all these trees, so we'll see if he ends up, well, he didn't do what he did earlier under these big plumes of trees.
Lots of pedestrians.
Yeah, you got to remember the mall. This is an outdoor mall. Lots of shoppers out, outdoor retail, or I should say retail and outdoor shopping and dining still open and somewhat busier than we've seen, especially on a Friday night here as he makes his way now westbound on Wilshire, coming up on 2nd Street and doing so much faster. Again, he's about a block from the beach now, coming up on Ocean. And so this could get interesting. He is still in Santa Monica's jurisdiction. If he gets on PCH, that would put it in the hands of the California Highway Patrol. So we might see another change of jurisdiction here, and once again, an opportunity for a different agency to make some different decisions. Looks like he's making the left onto the incline, and that's going to put him on PCH. So now we've got our eyes and ears on the California Highway Patrol as we continue to watch this dangerous driver, a stolen Subaru out of Santa Monica, a Subaru dealership in Santa Monica, stolen earlier this season. Into his behavior here, whether the driving becomes more erratic or whether he just nonchalantly continues up PCH, which, as I mentioned, despite a little bit of traffic at Temescal there, he is going to encounter even less once he gets into Malibu.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, thank you very much. We're approaching the bottom of this the half hour here, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Eye on this one, guys. Back over to you.
All right, Chris, as Chris stays on top of that, we want to move over to some very important news to get to right now. Stricter guidelines on schools reopening.
virus cases with over
Still streaming. Cool. It's going. Occasionally you'll see a couple of black and whites, a combination of CHP and LA County Sheriff's vehicles, but they are not really interested at this point, showing no signs of engaging with this suspect. So again, a watch and wait to see if anything else develops here. But as you can see, this has gotten awfully tedious as we continue to see